and welcome back, my dear viewer. I trust you've been hale and hasty. On my side, I've been good, superb, amazing, talk of every goodness that you can think of. So our talk today goes out there to anyone who has that desire to bring a change, to heal their soul, to find happiness again, that burning desire to impact a life, that unbridled ambition to touch us all out there, to impact a generation, to bring a change, to touch a life. You realize that it is always good to be part of the solution. Be that person always that brings a solution to a certain problem. I mean, it's always good to light a candle than to cast that darkness. So instead of that's good, even providing that candle is a solution. I mean, casting the darkness maybe to some people might be a solution, but not the best. So why don't you just light that candle? Why don't you bring that light, that solution that shines through that problem, that solves that problem? Now, you'd agree with me that if you really want to find that happiness again, you really have to work on something. And let me tell you one thing: the most happiest life, or if you want to live that happy life, just take your life, tie that life to a goal, and not things, not people. So when you really know what you're working towards, when you really come to that agreement of what you really want to become, what you really want to achieve, that is when you find happiness. The reason being, you don't attach your life to someone, your life to things. You work towards what you want to achieve. Now again, you would agree with me, my dear viewer, that the life that you're encountering, today's life is very fragile. It's a precious life, yes, but at some point it becomes fragile. The experiences that you're encountering day in, day out, the stress that you're encountering, the struggle, the challenges that you're encountering, they are shaping us day by day, day in, day out. And at some point you realize that you have to keep on equipping yourself with how to deal with these things that arise now and then. Let me tell you one secret, my dear viewer. There is nothing new. There is nothing new in this world. Well and good, that thing might be new to you. That experience might be new to you. But mark my words, someone else has been in that experience. Someone else has, walked in the shoes. Someone else has fitted into those shoes that, you've fitted right now. So whatever you're going through, there's nothing new. It's only that you have to equip yourself on how to, go through each stage in life, go through each season in life. So be prepared to learn. Be that person who is always, prepared to learn something new. Learn and learn, relearn. All this in the essence of, how to encounter each new endeavor, each new experience that you encounter at every stage in your life. Life sometimes might not be that simple. It might not be that, friendly at some point in our lives. Remember, each experience is meant to make us stronger, to make us learn, something going through. So sometimes life, smashes us, it grinds us into that dirt, into that dust. And when you're going through that, we have that latitude either to make bad choices, or we have, the authority, or we have that chance to deal with those bad circumstances. So it is just a matter of, making that decision. Let me say it again, that sometimes life smashes us, it grinds us into dust, into dirt. It beats us in quotes. But we have the latitude either to make, bad choices out of what you're going through, or to stand up and, make some decisions and do some actions, take an action that can deal with the situation that you're going through. So no matter what you're going through in life, please, my dear viewer, don't lose your value. You have a tag on yourself. You have that value. You're worth something very great, something priceless. Now look at this. There was once a speaker that began, his pep talk. The speaker was talking to a group of, some youths. And of course, having gone through, the same stage, having understood the challenges that are in each stage, and especially in this transition stage, the youthful stage. So what that speaker did is, first of all, after doing the introductory part, he pulled out 1,000 shilling note from his pocket. Then the speaker raised the 1,000 shilling note for everyone to see, for everyone who was in that meeting, that group to see. And then the speaker of course asked, who wants these 1,000 shillings, Bob? And then of course the obvious answer followed. I mean, you and I, dear viewer, know that at this stage of life, where we're so pressed, where everyone needs that extra coin, of course, you'd be in the front line to raise up your hand. So as expected, everyone raised up their hands. And then, the speaker said, okay, quite impressive. Well, good. So what did the speaker do next? The speaker took that note, grinded the note, into his hand. And of course, after grinding, you expect that note will be, crunched, will be folded, not as exactly as maybe how it was before he did squeeze that note into his palm. So at the time that he raised the note again for the crowd to see, the note was, folded into some creases. And so the speaker asked the question again. Now here goes my question for the second time. Who really wants these 1,000 shilling notes? And what do you think happened, my dear viewer? It's 1,000 shilling bob. No matter how much the 1,000 shilling bob, is creased, is squeezed, it still remains to be 1,000 shilling bob. So what did, each and every youth in that meeting do? Of course, again, every hand went up. Oh, everyone was like, okay, I still want that 1,000 bob. Then the speaker was, impressed. I mean, I've squeezed the 1,000 shilling bob and still everyone wants it. Okay. So then the speaker at last took a 1,000 shilling note on the floor, then stepped on that 1,000 shillings so hard Imagine, we can talk of maybe trampling. He trampled on that 1,000 shilling note. And of course, having dropped it on the floor, we expect that the note, had some dirt. Now it's squeezed totally, it's creased totally. And then the speaker took the note. He picked the note from the floor and raised the note. Now, who really still wants this 1,000 shillings note? I know you have the answers in your mind. I know the answer now is, trying to ring, you're trying to figure out what happened next. So, again, every hand went up. Why? Because whether that 1,000 shilling note is dirtified by the floor, it still remains to be 1,000 Kenyan shillings. It doesn't matter. Maybe when in the process of trampling, it might even have, lost a piece. A piece might have been torn from the note. But it is still the same 1,000 shillings note. So what does that tell us? The people who are raising up their hands, they really knew the value of 1,000 shillings, Bob. So, my dear viewer, no matter how much you become smashed, no matter what you go through in life, don't lose your value. Don't lose your worth. You're worth something priceless. Always be that person who stands out from the rest. Remember, you're born an original. You're an original. So please, 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 don't die a copy. Don't let that life smash you. You start degrading your value bits by bits, bits by bits. At the end of it, you're no longer that original self. It reaches to a point in life, it comes to a point in your life whereby you're now a copy. When you're walking, you're just that copy. No! You're the original. Don't die a copy. Still hold on, even when life smashes you down. Still hold on. Still have, that energy, that vigor to still hope that, you'll go through that transition. So, if we go through this, sometimes, we go through these challenges, and some of these experiences really makes our souls to suffer. Some of them are, too bad to a point that our souls are left hurt, our souls bleed, our souls are so broken, to a point like, we feel like, the only solution, the only way that we have is giving up. But life is, a series of steps that you take. And you don't have to have seen the whole staircase. In life, you don't have to have seen the whole staircase. You just take that one step in faith. And as long as you start that motion, you realize that at some point you'll have climbed that staircase. You'll be at the top of that staircase. So no matter how, life smashes us, no matter how we hurt, no matter how our souls bleed, my dear viewer, be that person who always has that energy every morning. Just wake up, have that energy to learn something new, to make a change. Be that person who still wants to have their true identity as the original copy every day. So what happens maybe when you don't go through, that challenge, when we turn by what you're going through, which happens sometimes, not by our own liking. I want to believe that everyone tries their best. For you to have gone to a point whereby you like, I can't hold on any longer. I mean, I've taken too much. I've taken too much, and I'm to that point whereby I can't take in anymore. My soul is just full. So sometimes when we don't go through, whatever is bothering us, what happens at the long run is that our soul, becomes sick. We sickened by whatever you're going through. That's why we say at the beginning of this video that, this talk goes out to anyone, maybe who is ready to heal their souls, someone who is yearning for that happiness, someone who really wants, to find their happiness again, to work on their goals afresh, to, refresh, to start anew, to work on new endeavors, to unlock some new chapters in their lives. So we want to work on ways that we can heal our souls. We want to work on ways that we can be a soul doctor to someone who has, a hurting soul, a broken soul, a sick soul. I know when you talk of healing a sick soul, you can be a soul doctor. You might not be the one who has a sick soul, but you might know someone who is going through something that is making them sick. And so in turn, now you're the doctor. You seated there, my view, you were the doctor, so you're a soul doctor. And you should be glad, because when you help someone to go through, to transit to the next level through your help, then you'll have done something. We're talking of what? That unbridled desire, ambition to impact, someone's life, to change what someone is going through, to light that candle, to be part of a solution to someone's problem. So, my view, when a soul is sick, it starts inwardly. You have a soul, the soul has been sick. And so what happens? Though we, the people, or you yourself, you come to realize at some point that that sickness is now emanating from the inside, and then it's now evident to, the whole of your outside body, to the world now, the outside. How can you tell that? Maybe someone is having a sick soul. Remember we said that he's going to be a soul doctor. When you go to hospital, the doctor diagnoses that disease. So maybe how can you tell that someone is really sick, someone has that sick soul? Number one, you realize that when someone has a sick soul, you realize that someone tends to have some kind of bitterness. When you even look at someone, how that someone talks, how that someone does their own things. I mean, the daily routine of a person, the day-to-day talk of a person, how that person does, carries out, how that person talks, whatever comes out of that person is just bitterness. You can tell that that person is bitter. You can tell that that person has some pain. That pain has eaten into that person's soul. Until now, the pain is just so evident in the outside world. That person is, kind of projecting that pain to you. The kind of, people that sometimes do not see any good in a person. No matter how much you try to do something good, that person to see that goodness in you, it will take ages. It will take ages. That bitterness is being projected to someone. Take a case whereby maybe someone had, didn't succeed at something. So whatever that person was going through was so painful, was so discouraging, was so depressing, and that person was really hit to the ground. So maybe when you go through that stage successfully, that person tends to think, how is your life just so complete, just like that? How did you just go through this? And because of that bitterness, sometimes the people might not even have, the courage to share, to speak out of what they went through. So what they do, sometimes they develop some kind of hatred towards you. We're talking of a projection to something. Those people always have that negative energy. They always have, that spirit of revenge. Well, sometimes you really wonder, so what was just done? I didn't do anything wrong. So you just find someone, blabbing things out of nowhere, shouting, some things that you wonder, okay, well, is this person really talking to me? Have you ever, talked with someone or interacted with someone, and then that someone just brings up something, pop, and then you're like, okay, now where did this talk, emanate from? You're like, I'm just lost in all of this. We're talking of that projection, that bitterness. Someone is in that state. Someone is in that quality of feeling bitter at anything, at anyone. There's no one who is in a better state to that person. So that person is really bitter at anything, at anyone. That person just wants to find something, a fault in something, a fault in someone. There's nothing good that someone can see from you. I'm pretty sure, my dear viewer, you've interacted with such people. That person is always ready for you to take a step, so that that person can scrutinize the whole of what you've done, can scrutinize what you're doing. The negative side is what that person just majors on. That person is so bitter. There's something that maybe that person, went through. That person didn't overcome that stage. And it's not, by their own liking, but sometimes it happens. There's something that really, really hit hard on that person. Something that really left that person hurting. Something that really smashed that person down to the ground. And because that person hasn't come to the light of, maybe I'm sick, I need to address this, that person has not really come into terms with what the person went through, or what the person is going through, for that matter. So that person has a sick soul. And at the end of it, the person is spreading that sickness to the people. That's what we see on the outside. Be very careful when you're dealing with such people. It's always good to be very sober when you realize that someone has some kind of bitterness. Approach those people with a lot of cautiousness. Be very cautious when you're dealing with such individuals. Number 2, another way that you can tell that person maybe has a sick soul is by some kind of anger. And in this case, I can talk of uncontrollable anger. Hey, someone is ever angry. We're talking of what? Uncontrollable. Some kind of an anger that you can't control. That person is always angry at something. that person is always ready for a fight. Even by the way that person walks. Yani that person waits for a chance to express their anger. They just wait for an opportunity where they can burst their anger to someone. Uncontrollable anger. So these are the kind of people that don't even want to talk. They don't want even to reach to, an agreement. If at any point which happens in life you have a conflict with them, you don't want that conflict to be resolved by any means apart from theirs, which is expressing that anger. Their soul is sick. So they are trying to, to get rid of that sickness by expressing their anger. They're very angry on the inside. So they're expressing that anger to whatever comes, in their way. They have developed that anger at some point. And I'm pretty sure you can tell what I'm talking about. So, but by how they just talk again, by how they talk again, it tells a lot about their anger. Wait until you cross paths with someone who has that uncontrollable anger. My dear viewer, you start even apologizing for something that you didn't do wrong. Honestly, you know that you're not the one who was on the wrong side. But you just have to apologize. You're like, okay, I'm so sorry. And that person is shouting at the top of their voices. Okay, Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so. Okay, madam. Okay, bro, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it to, come out the way it did. And you're the one who is wrong. But because you just look at that person, you're like, oh my God. That person has just built a volcano. He's unleashing all that lava to you. That volcano has just erupted on you. Something that was so little. Something that was so mere. That you could just have solved by just a matter of, a reasonable talk. But because that person is having some kind of an anger from the sick soul. So the whole of that anger, which was pent up, the whole of that anger has just, been built up. So it was pent up anger. Poof, it unleashes on you. I'm pretty sure you're remembering. You've come across such scenarios. So be very careful. Be the person who, after realizing that maybe someone has something like that, such kind of